Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome back, or if you've been here before. If you haven't been here, welcome. I'm Jimmy, and this is a first gen mini rescue Subaru edition. Anyway, what I have here is a 2014 Subaru Forester. It's not ours, this is our daughter's Forester. It has 135,190 miles, and she recently got an inspection sticker. However, they told her that she needs rear wheel bearings on this car. So we ordered the parts through SubaruPartsOnline.com. I'm going to leave a link down in the bottom. And I had the parts shipped directly here to her house. I'm in West Virginia. I'm in a garage. It's not a heated garage, but still not in the elements. And there's a concrete floor, so a little bit more comfortable for me to work in. So I will be changing the wheel bearings in this car. Let me read today's fortune and then get on with explaining what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it, all that good stuff. And today's fortune says, you can fix it with a little extra energy and a positive attitude. So I can fix it with a little extra energy and a positive attitude. Okay, not necessarily pertaining to the car, but most things in life, sometimes you just gotta do a little extra and always be positive, think positive. Now here, with the car aspect of it, let me just stick this up here. We're in West Virginia, and as such, they do use a little more salt on their roads than we do in Virginia. So I'm not sure how rusty or anything these wheel bearings will be to get them off. I'll tackle that when I get to it, but I should be okay. I brought a lot of my tools from home. My son-in-law has a lot of tools, but he's more into woodworking than mechanics. So I brought all my mechanics tools. Off camera, I've got my impact guns. Down here, I've got my 3-ton jack and my new 3-ton jack stands here. Yeah, I brought my own torque wrenches because torque is going to be very important here. And yeah, bucket load of tools. Anyway, so let me explain what I'm going to do here. Now, I'm just going to explain everything, and that way, the first couple of few minutes, you can kind of hear what I'm going to do. And then if you want to watch it, you can watch it. But the first thing to do is to loosen up, before you jack the car up or anything, loosen up all the lug nuts. So there'll be 5 on this side, 5 on that side. Loosen up the lug nuts. Don't take them off, but just break them loose while the car is on the ground. Then jack the car up, put it on jack stands, and then continue to remove the wheel. The parking brake is set, and I should be able to break loose the 32 millimeter axle nut on the car. If not, I got an assistant in the house. Sharon is here, as well as the 2 grandkids. They can come out, step on the brake for me while I try to loosen it with a breaker bar and a 32 millimeter. The lug nuts on this car is a 17 millimeter. Once that's done and the axle nut is broken loose, then you remove the brakes. They're both, I think it's a 14 millimeter for the calipers and also a 14 millimeter for the caliper bracket. Once the caliper and the caliper bracket are loose, removed, hung out of the way, you can take the 4 bolts off of the bearing themselves. There's 4 bolts, 14 millimeter as well, on the back of the bearing. You take them off and then you just knock the bearing off. You're not worried about reusing it, so if you got to use a big hammer and knock it off, beat it in and out, in and out, in and out, till it gets removed, you're good to go. And then your new bearing, everything goes back in reverse order. Sometimes the backing plate for the brakes gets stuck on with the old bearing, but you can take a hammer and tap that off and leave it in place, put it back in place while you put the new bearing back in. Let me show you the new bearing too. Okay, I have the new bearings here, which have not been opened, but I took them out of the box. There's a magnetic ring on the back. You don't want to put anything magnetic on this side of the bearing. You don't want to affect that. 5 new studs for your wheels and your lug nuts. And then these are the 4 holes here for your bearing. Sometimes that backing plate will be stuck. You just have to tap it off. Okay, so put this down here. Also, with the Subarus, they require you, they suggest highly that you have brand new axle nuts. These are 32 millimeter axle nuts, and you replace them. They're a one-time use. So once they're on, they're done. When you take them off, they throw them away. So I had my daughter order 4. So we'll use 2 and I'll keep 2 in the back of her car. And that's just something for me that I always like to have, because in a roadside emergency or something, and you do find a used bearing or a no-name bearing, you may not find an axle nut. So having 2 with you doesn't take up much space at all. So we have the 2 that I'm going to use and 2 that will go in the back of her car. Anyway, so that's the basics. So now I'm going to get my tools gathered up and get the car, lug nuts, everything done. Show what I just talked about. I do need to make a correction. The lug nuts on this car are 19 millimeter. I was thinking about the minis. Minis are 17. Anyway, loosen them up. Okay, one of the first things I'm gonna do is take this wheel speed sensor off. That's this wire here. It's held on with a 10 millimeter. I have a 10 mil here, and we will attempt to get it off here with my small low-powered, medium to low-powered impact gun. Simple enough. And then we can get a pair of pliers. Just a wiggle and pull out. Stick that over here on the side, out of the way. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm gonna attempt to take the brake caliper and the bracket off together and just put them out of the way without having to separate the caliper from the bracket. It may work, it may not work. The 4 bolts are located back here. And there's 1, 2 in the back and 2 in the front. So let's try to break these loose. Okay, some of you might have noticed I had a hard time banging that bearing off. I couldn't get it off. So I went to Harbor Freight and I purchased a Maddox, 9-piece or whatever it is. What do they call this thing? A 9-way, 5-pound slide hammer puller set. So that's the whole kit. That's what you get. It's not sponsored, paid my full price for it. And then some of you may remember a while back on Sharon's Subaru, we had mismatched lug nuts. So instead of using her 5 lug nuts on here, or 3 of her 5, I'm gonna use the mismatched lug nuts and maybe 1 regular one from Sharon's car. And I'll keep these in this kit so that I don't get them mixed up. But let me assemble this and try to get this bearing off. Okay, I'm back. It's the next day, which is a Monday. I had to stop early yesterday because it was Super Bowl Sunday and I had to watch the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles and their fans. It was a blowout. Anyway, I got the bearing out, the old bearing. I used the 5-pound slide hammer that I had to purchase. I think somebody used that and brought it back because the end was kind of galled, but I'm gonna fix it when I get home. But anyway, here's the old bearing, solid as a rock, and it doesn't spin, and it makes noise when I spin it. And it's got a lot of rust on it. That's the old one. I separated it from the backing plate. I've got a little bend in here, but I can knock that out when I put it back in. I'm gonna use my flapper wheel to clean out the rust here and on the surface. And I have a wire wheel too. So, so to clean out that, and then I'll use anti-seize, and also on the backing plate, I'll use my flapper wheel and wire wheel. And then it's just a matter of reassembly on this side and do the same on the other side. Yeah. So without any further ado, let me go get my wire wheel and flapper wheel and start cleaning up the cleanup process. Okay, I've got the 4 bolts on for the bearing. I've got my torque values listed in both Newton meters and foot pounds. So I want you guys to look up your own torque values for yourselves. But needless to say, torque all your pertinent bolts. My torque wrench here reads in both foot pounds and Newton meters. So we will torque. The axle nut here has to be torqued without any weight on the suspension or the tires or anything being on the car. It needs to be up and hanging, and that's how you preload the bearing, by torquing this axle nut. It's 32 millimeter. And if you don't do it that way, your bearing is likely not to last as long. So I will go pull up the handbrake and see if I can put it. I got to get my larger torque wrench out and torque it down. Okay, the passenger side with the slide hammer took about, I don't know, 15 or 20 blows and it came off. But I had sprayed some penetrating fluid on it overnight, so maybe that helped loosen everything up. So I'm going to get this one cleaned up, get everything done, and start getting this side back together. This is the passenger side, and then I can wrap this thing up. Okay, that's it pretty much for the bearing change. I changed both sides, didn't need to show you the other side. However, passenger side bearing was a lot worse as far as when you spin it, it was so dry, it was just horrible. But it came off easier, maybe because I soaked it with some spray overnight. It only took maybe 10 slides with the slide hammer, and then about 3 or 4 taps with my 3-pound sledge just to get it from the backing plate. Up here in West Virginia, they got a little bit more rust than we have in Virginia. However, it's not as bad at all as the upstate New York guys and those that are, Maine, and where they use a lot more road salts. I'm going to suggest my daughter at least run the car through the car wash once a month. They live on a gravel road, like a private drive to get up to the home. And yeah, it's about a quarter of a mile, maybe a little longer. And so there's a lot of dirt and debris under there, so maybe she should just drive through a car wash, once a month. It'd be fine. Anyway, other than that, I'm gonna let it off the jacks. I've torqued everything. The lug nuts are 88 foot-pounds. My notes are somewhere, but anyway, but torque them the way you would torque your car. I'm gonna let it off the jacks and the jack stand and take it for a test spin in about 15 minutes. Got to go pick up my grandson from the bus stop. Anyway, so that's it. I'm gonna call this one over. She's got some other things going on with this car that I'll look into. I'll plug the diagnostic tool in and see what's going on with this one. Her husband wants her to buy a new car. She wants the new Volkswagen EV bus, but she doesn't want anyone else in it. So she wants to buy that just for her. She doesn't want the kids in it. So she's gonna keep this for her kid mobile. And if she buys her bus, that's gonna be her bus. Anyway, whatever. I don't work on those electric vehicles. So she's on her own. But these, I don't mind. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm gonna go get cleaned up so I can go get my grandson in a presentable fashion. And thank y'all for watching another episode of the Subaru series. And stay tuned because there'll be some mini snippets coming up shortly. While we were, well, I'll send a teaser. I ran into a couple of minis while we were in the Czech Republic. So look out for that one, just a little couple of snippets on that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank y'all for watching and have fun with your minis and Subarus. Even when changing these wheel bearings, not fun at all. Not these rusty ones. I like ours better. Anyway, see y'all later.